You ever have one of those days where you feel like everything you've worked for, every late night, every not good enough, every door slammed in your face, is finally about to pay off, and then, right at that moment, someone looks you dead in the eye and tells you that you don't belong? Yeah, that was me, standing at Gate 12 in Atlanta, heart thumping, clutching a first-class boarding pass like my life depended on it. For once, my name was printed right there. 1A, front row, not a typo, not a favor, but something I'd bled for. I'd made it. At least, that's what I thought. I remember pausing right before the boarding call, hearing my mom's words echo in my head, her voice strong and soft all at once. Baby, don't ever let them take the seat you earned. Doesn't matter what they say. Only you know what you paid to get there. That kept me steady as I rolled my old Navy bag past the stairs, some curious, most surprised, a couple flat out annoyed, into that first-class cabin. All the smells, that fancy coffee and cologne, and the soft chatter that quiets the second you're not part of the regular crowd. I sat down, set my bag at my feet, breathed in the moment. But I could feel it. Those eyes, like I'd wandered somewhere I didn't quite fit. Right as I'm settling in, doing a last check on the biggest contract of my life, in walks this pair, Barbara Sinclair and her sidekick, Judith, Atlanta legends, dripping with old money and that I run this place energy. Barbara's heels clicked down the aisle like a gavel. She stared right at me, then turned to Judith, loud enough for the world, "That's my seat. Must be a mistake." The thing is, it wasn't a question. It was an order. Judith just nodded, arms crossed, lips pursed, waiting for the newbie to stand up and disappear. Barbara came right up, not even a hi, just, "I always have 1A, sweetheart, platinum elite." You know that tone, the kind that says, "Go ahead, move." I didn't move. I smiled, tried to stay calm, pulled out my boarding pass. There it was, in bold, 1A, Mia Thompson. "No mistake, ma'am. I booked it, paid for it, got the emails to prove it." But she waved it off. "Systems make mistakes, honey. You should be flexible. I always sit here." Judith chimes in, "Sometimes you have to let experience take the lead, sweetie." That stung, but it didn't shock me. I'd been hearing that line since I was 16, only now the stakes were real. The tension was thick, every passenger pretending not to watch, but you could feel the room tilt in Barbara's direction. I caught a guy in a blue blazer shake his head like, "Kids these days," and a woman clutch her purse tighter. The flight attendant, Steve, came over, nervous as all get out. "Miss, could I see your pass one more time?" Barbara didn't wait for me. She jumped right in. "You know me, Steve. 20 years flying this route, always 1A. And he shot a look at Denise, the manager, and she tried to be all, "Let's just keep it pleasant," asking if I'd take another seat for a travel voucher. That's when I felt the whole world watching, waiting to see if I'd back down. But I remembered every time I'd been told to be flexible, every room I'd been told I didn't belong in. So I said, "Would you be asking me to move if I were a white guy in a suit?" I said it soft, but it cut. Barbara froze. Denise looked uncomfortable, and Judith just glared. Denise fumbled through something about respecting all passengers, but I wasn't buying it. "Respect means the same rules for everyone," I told them. Barbara's mask dropped, her voice rising. "This generation, no respect. When I was your age, I'd never argue about this. You think a ticket's all it takes?" That's when I realized I could either fade or I could fight. So I did something nobody in that cabin saw coming. I called Lionel Green, my mentor, and yeah, board member for the airline, right in front of everyone. "Hey, Lionel, having a little trouble with seat assignments on Flight 209 feels a bit off." I saw jaws drop. Steve looked ready to faint. Denise stared holes through me. Even Barbara seemed to shrink a little. Within minutes, two corporate folks in dark suits walked in, badges out, all business. "Steve, Denise, with us, please." You could have heard a pin drop. When they came back, they told the whole cabin, "Effective immediately, Denise and Steve are suspended pending investigation for discrimination." That hit the room like a lightning bolt. Barbara lost it, yelling about lawsuits and respect and how she was being humiliated, but corporate stood firm. "Ma'am, your Platinum Elite status is revoked. We'll have to ask you to leave." Two guards escorted her out, and just like that, the old order cracked. I didn't gloat, didn't say a word, just breathed, slow and steady as the mood in that cabin shifted. A woman across the aisle gave me a little nod. Judith, now quiet as a shadow, mumbled, "I'm sorry." When the airline rep came by, offering me free first class for 2 years, I told her, "What I really want is for nobody to ever feel like they don't belong in a seat they earned." She nodded, eyes shining, promised things would change. Word spread, and people reached out from everywhere. Young, old, every color and creed. Some said they'd never had the nerve to stand up. Others said I'd done what they wished they could. The airline kept their promise, changed their training, made new rules. It was one seat, one flight. But for me, it meant finally, the door stayed open. So let me ask you, have you ever been told you don't belong somewhere you fought to get into? Ever seen privilege break when someone stood up for what's right? Was I right to fight? Or should I have kept the peace like Barbara wanted? Tell me in the comments. Share your story, your thoughts. Because sometimes, just sometimes, refusing to move isn't just about you. It's about every person who ever wanted to take their rightful seat at the table.